Hello, welcome. Thank you for being here. My name is Jade Rhoads. I'm a certified hypnotherapist and the creator of Lilith Path Hypnotherapy and Lilith Path Regression Therapy. And this is the first video of this channel. So, hello, and thank you so much for being here. I do want to give an introduction to myself and who I am and credentials, and go into what hypnotherapy is, what it isn't, as hypnotherapy is the foundation of my practice. And before we get started, I do want to note I have an adorable, very old, very sweet French bulldog sleeping just on the other side of my desk. So if you hear any noises that are interesting, it is very likely my dear dog. So, as I mentioned, I am Jade Rhoads, and I thank you for being here. And I am a certified hypnotherapist for 4 years now and have my own private practice, Jade Rhoads Hypnotherapy. And I want to talk about the credentialing that I have, a certified hypnotherapist. So I am someone who, I think a lot of people who become hypnotherapists, it's not from who I've met, it isn't something someone wants to be when they grew up. It wasn't really known. Maybe that would have been a childhood dream of mine had I known about hypnotherapy as a child. But it just kind of fell on my path. And the first training that I took for it was less than ideal. It was very well branded, very well marketed. But essentially, it was about 8 hours of training stretched out over a handful of months. So it seemed like you have months of training, but when you looked at the hours, it wasn't much. And it actually really matters so much, having now been through extremely adequate training, the creme de la creme of the training. I attended Hypnosis Motivation Institute, HMI's College of Hypnotherapy, and they are the only U.S. Department of Education accredited hypnotherapy college in the world. And it is at least baseline 720 hours of training. So it's a year-long training. It's a full course load and plus electives. And it's a wonderful training, not a bored moment in the entirety of the training. So I just want to note that, because that CHT you see at the end of my name, it took a lot of work to get. May I also mention that 720 hours also needs to include a clinical internship, which was phenomenal. So it was a robust training program. And comparing the two that I've done, hands down, HMI was the real deal and produces really brilliant hypnotherapists, if I say so myself. The folks that I know, my colleagues, marvelous hypnotherapists. So I wanted to mention that. But I also wanted to mention, what is hypnotherapy? What is it? What is it not? How does it work? So what it is relaxing the conscious mind in this piece of the mind called the critical mind filter to be able to come into the subconscious mind and place suggestions there. And by doing that, we're essentially tweaking or rewriting or rewiring neural pathways in the brain or in the subconscious mind. So what is the subconscious mind? Why does it have all of this there? It's fascinating, truthfully. So from the ages of 0 to 8, I say in utero to about 8, 9-ish, we're in a constant state of hypnosis. Because when you're in utero, you can there's a point in the development where you can hear the sounds outside. And that's also influencing your foundation. So from this age range, you are in a constant state of hypnosis. So, and what that means is you don't actually have a conscious mind online. So anything that you encounter is being lodged in and thoroughly absorbed into your mind as truth. And it's going to lay the foundation of your reality that you will carry with you well into adulthood. And just to paint this picture more, that means anything you encountered, anything from parents, the home environment, anything from peers or other family members, anything from teachers, students. It could be direct or indirect. You could overhear it, So it's all of this experience. And as we gather it all, we're not really gathering it, it's kind of just absorbing it. But as we're doing this, it's creating the reality, and then knowing that your reality, your truth, is really this conglomeration of these narratives, these habits, these patterns, these, in a way, taught feelings, right? Or responses that we learned, right? That we absorbed from the environment that we grew up in. Really significant. And so the way that we work with hypnosis with all of that is, like I said, relax in the conscious mind, because as we're growing, there's a point where the conscious mind starts to come online, and that's around 8, 9, 10. You may, if you have interaction with children, you may notice that's the age when they get a little sassy. They really assert themselves a bit more than they used to. And that's because their conscious mind is coming online. They're thinking for themselves now. So the way the hypnotherapy works then is you come to a session with something you want to work on, the presenting issue. And what we do in session, so this is getting into how a session with me works, or what we do. We have this first cognitive portion of the session, right? So we're going to talk about your presenting issue or the habit or whatever it is you want to work with or work on, discuss it. And what that does, besides helping me understand, there's multiple layers to it. It also brings us into the space. It brings it into the space where you're going to start bringing it up to the conscious mind. And it also allows me to hear how you speak about this issue and how you would like it to transform. Because there's a big key piece in that. You are suggestible to your own words far more than you would be suggestible if I were to wordsmith what you are saying. So that's a key piece as well. It's very important. And I'm saying this, it might sound like I'm giving away a lot of techniques and things. It's not a secret, right? It's so that you understand. Oh, there's so much I want to speak about with all of this, but it'll be super tangent, so I'll just leave that be. So like I said, we speak about the presenting issue. And then for the first session is always longer than the preceding sessions or the sequential sessions, because we have to go through certain things. So basically what I'm doing here, explaining what hypnotherapy is, what it isn't, but also conditioning the mind, right? I'm helping myself by asking questions and understanding your suggestibility, which I may make a video about, may not, depends. But suggestibility, it's how you learn best, right? It's so I would know how to phrase my suggestions in the hypnosis, really your suggestions to yourself in hypnosis. And then also just conditioning the mind so that you can go into hypnosis easier, deeper, and that's beneficial to you. And then we go into the hypnotic journey. So that's session 1, right? That's going to have that extra piece. That's why it's a bit longer. And then the preceding sessions, we meet, we talk a bit about what it is you want to work on in the session, and then we go into the journey. I do give a bit of space at the end just to help, come back in. I personally have had, this was a long time ago, working with a hypnotherapist who immediately needed to leave right as soon as the journey was done. And I personally found it quite jarring. So I make sure we have a bit of time to just gently come back into your space, ground into your environment, ground into your physical body. You're just returning from this journey because it is a journey. You're really working within the mind, and it's actually really important and safe to have a nice gentle landing, a nice gentle return back. In my personal experience and in my opinion, that's how the session is ran. Now, I want to speak into what hypnotherapy isn't, right? So, there seems to be, I think it's a lot less common now, but there I have encountered folks asking, basically thinking that hypnotherapy is similar to like stage hypnotism, where the person does strange things. That's not what this is. This is hypnotherapy. So it's to work with the subconscious mind, to work with you, to really create an empowering, beneficial narrative that you carry with you in your life that is really, really empowering to you, right? It's not a show. It's not, you're not quacking like a duck or doing strange things. You cannot be made to do or say anything that you wouldn't do in the waking state. You really cannot go into hypnosis unless you agree to go into hypnosis. And to touch back on that suggestibility that I spoke about earlier, there's 3 types, and 2 of those types have degrees within them, but there's one type called somnambulist. And someone who is a somnambulist is a person who a stage hypnotist would be very well trained to find in a crowd and have them come on stage, if they don't have someone planted in or whatever. But because a somnambulist is someone who is constantly in hypnosis, right? So when I say constantly in hypnosis as an adult, that's because hypnosis is like a really natural state of mind. So we dip in and out all day, every day, and we're doing it our whole lives through, right? So when I meet a somnambulist person, they're just always in hypnosis, always in hypnosis. So, and interestingly, these are the people who are like keenly like intuitive. They're really tuned into that aspect of them. Not to say that the others aren't. I'm just saying like it's just like a very easy, natural state to be in that because they're very open, I guess, in that way is a way to phrase it. So where am I? I have no notes in front of me. Usually I do. So talking about not being able to do or say anything that you wouldn't want to do or say in your waking state. Yes. And I also want to say, because this is important, that ties into coming to a session because you want to be in the session. So there may be instances where someone may come to session for, let's say, quitting smoking. And part of the question intake of quitting smoking when you're working with hypnotherapy to quit smoking is, why do you want to quit smoking? Very important question. And if the answer is, well, I don't, my partner is asking that I come here and do this, or my doctor is asking that I quit smoking, but I don't want to quit smoking. Well, it won't work. It won't work for you because you don't want that. You have to actually want what it is that you're coming to hypnotherapy for. Big key there, just so we're all aware. So you do have this vast level of sovereignty within a hypnotherapy session with me. And I guess to go into what it might feel like, oftentimes I can speak from experience because I personally work with my own hypnotherapist. And then hearing feedback from clients that I've worked with, when you go into hypnosis and go into the hypnotherapy session, it feels relaxing. You're still very aware. You'll still hear all the sounds around you. And you'll still hear me. You might even be thinking of, to-dos, or, something not related to the session. Perfectly fine. You're still receiving the hypnotherapy. Yeah. And there's also times where you may dip in and out, right? You might hear me speaking and then hear me speaking, and it doesn't, like, you dipped out, which is also fine. Your subconscious mind knows what you need in that time, right, in the moment, and so it will deliver. It's a magnificent piece of our makeup. What else? Oh, you could fall asleep, which is perfectly fine as well. You'll still receive the hypnosis, the hypnotherapy. And I will say, if someone does fall asleep and we get to the end of the session and you're still fast asleep, I may hang out for a minute or so, but if I get the sense that you are going to stay asleep, we'll just gently end the session. I will write you an email to let you know, that we're closing the container. You were sleeping perfectly fine, no worries. So that can happen, and it's perfectly fine. So that's, yeah, that kind of felt nonlinear, but that's basically what I want to cover. How a session is with me, what is hypnotherapy, what it isn't, and just little elements within it. I guess that's it. I will leave you with a piece of suggestion, I guess. I'll leave you with a suggestion. It's a beautiful suggestion. I hope you consider it a gift if you aren't already aware of this. The 30-minute windows in your day. So, as I said, we dip in and out of hypnosis all the time, all throughout our day. But there's these beautiful pockets within your day, right? So the 30 minutes right when you wake up, it's a rough 30 minutes, right when you wake up and right before you fall asleep for the day. So these two pockets of the day, you are deep in hypnosis. And I highly recommend use those spaces to bring in something that nourishes you, something that strengthens your foundational beliefs. So this could be reading an inspiring book. This could be journaling in some form or fashion. This could be visualizing something that brings an awareness to your aliveness and to the magic of life. This could be, anything that brings a sense of goodness and a feeling of beauty into your existence. I highly recommend you use those two windows in your day for that. And that's what I have. Thank you. Thank you for being here and listening to this introduction. And I will see you all again. Have a beautiful day. Bye.